Welcome to the Next Level Facebook Ads Podcast with Phil Graham. We help you master Facebook ads and give you an unfair advantage over your competition. Are you ready? Let's go.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Next Level Facebook Ads Podcast, episode 365. Welcome to the end of April, beginning of May. I hope you guys are doing well. I'm Phil Graham, and today we're going to talk about maximizing your impact while hopefully trying to minimize your cost. I'm going to share 3 tips that could lead to better Facebook and Instagram ads. These are really powerful tips, and there's something that really need to be tested. I'm going to tell you why in this episode, but sometimes they can do really well. Other times they don't. That's where testing comes in. Don't listen to anybody that says that something always works no matter what, because that's not true. But I'm going to give you the scoop on these 3 tips and how they could potentially give you better results for less cost with your Facebook and Instagram ads. Before jumping into that, if you guys are looking for some one-on-one coaching to learn ads the right way, or if you are looking for someone to run your ads for you, just go to my website, philgrahamdigital.com. You can connect with me there. I've also got a podcast page with show notes and stuff like that, which is really cool. Or you can DM me on Instagram at philgrahamdigital, and I would love to connect with you. Now, nothing can guarantee you better impact or guarantee that you're going to reduce your costs. Like, that's impossible. Nobody can guarantee that. In fact, if somebody does, that's a huge red flag. Run the other way. Trust me on that. But I will say, some of this stuff has come directly from Facebook, and some of it has come through our testing, and really both. So it doesn't work all of the time, but sometimes when it does, it's really good. So you want to test in the right way. And so this leads me to probably the most important thing I want to convey today, besides what I'm going to teach, is that there are different ways to do things. There's a lot of misinformation out there when it comes to ads. There's people that say that you don't need to touch your targeting, just use huge, broad audiences and don't touch anything else with your audiences, and just play with your creatives and test those. Now, sometimes that works well, but other times it falls flat on its face, and a different way works, where you're segmenting and testing different audiences and matching the copy to it. And so don't fall into the trap of only doing one way and not the other, because we've tested this so much. And there's not one way that works all the time. So I really hope you don't fall into that trap of only using one way to do things, because there's a good chance you could lose money if you do that. So most of the time I'm talking about segmented ads, segmented audiences, and stuff like that. And that's still a big part of what we do. But today I'm going to share another thing to test that is different, that I think you guys should try, because sometimes it works better. So let's talk about these 3 tips. Number 1, I recommend you reduce your campaigns down to 1. Concentrate on one campaign. Focus on just one campaign and put your maximum budget on that campaign. What you want to do is you want to find a winning strategy, or if you have one, you want to give it the most gas possible, give it the most fuel to try and get the most out of it. Okay. And so create one campaign, turn everything else off. You could have multiple ad sets in there, but turn everything else off, have one campaign. And then number 2, the second tip, is to test the Advantage Campaign Budget, ACB, Advantage Campaign Budget, and use the auto bid strategy. And so what that will do is you could have multiple ad sets in there and multiple ads. It'll automatically kind of go through your ads and try and find the winners and apply the budget to what it thinks will do best, based off of AI, based off of data, etc. And then number 3, the third tip here, is your audience size. I highly recommend, if you're doing this, that you have an audience size of at least 2.5 million people or more. Now, if you're a local business and you're targeting just a small area, then this probably isn't going to be the best strategy for you. But if you can get audiences well above 2.5 million, then this is definitely something good to test. Again, I want to be very, very clear. What I'm talking about right now can work really well, but sometimes segmented audiences and segmented copy works way, way, way better. So you really could be doing both. You could test one at a time, or you could do both concurrently if you have enough budget. We like doing both in many situations, but I want to share different things for you guys to test because sometimes this works really well. So this is a great thing to try. Now, if you're doing this, what I would recommend is in your campaign, you can have different ad sets. I wouldn't have more than 4 ads per ad set. So I would maybe have 2 or 3 ad sets, 2 or 3 ads, and then I would run it for at least 2 weeks. And it depends on your budget. If you've got a really large budget, you might be able to get away with running it for a week. But for me, I'm usually going to recommend at least 2 weeks before you make any adjustments or really evaluate data because it needs time. Now, a lot of people are going to wonder how much they should budget. That's a loaded question. That's something that I help my clients with. It really depends on a lot of factors. I encourage you to only budget what you're comfortable with. I wouldn't want you to go with a budget that is going to be very uncomfortable, that's going to, hurt you or put you at a big risk. You don't want to go that high, but at the same time, you also don't want to go too low either, especially with this strategy. Like this strategy typically needs a decent budget to give it the best chance of working. It's probably not going to work on $5 or $10 a day or even 20 a day in many situations. So you're going to need a healthy budget. If you don't have that, then I recommend the segmented way of doing things because that's still an amazing way. And that can work really well with smaller budgets and with larger budgets as well. But in terms of thinking about what to budget, one good thing you can do is if you already know a cost per result that you're used to getting, if you know that it costs you on average $20 to get a customer, then how many do you want? If you're looking for 100, you would just do the math and that would be your budget. If you have no idea what it costs to get a customer or the cost to get a lead, then you're going to have to do this for a while until you start getting data that you can trust and count on. And then you can more adequately figure out your budgets. And then the other way to do it is just figure out what you're comfortable spending and see what happens, and then use data to make smart decisions. So again, in a nutshell, what we're doing here is we're using one campaign with multiple ad sets. We're letting Facebook manage which ads and ad sets get the budget through the Advantage campaign budget strategy. And we're using really large audiences usually with very little targeting. Just a couple options, maybe demographic, age, and that's about it. Maybe an interest or two. And then we're letting Facebook find the right buyers. So I recommend you guys test this out. Again, this definitely absolutely does not replace segmented audiences, segmented copy. Those are still my favorite. Those still work extremely well. And I think that gives a lot of advertisers more edge than this does. But this still works really well in many different situations. And it's definitely something I want you guys to test. So let me know if you guys have questions about this. PhilGrahamDigital.com is the website, or you can DM me on Instagram at PhilGrahamDigital. And feel free to ask me any questions if you're having any challenges. My friends, episode 365 is in the books. Thank you so much for listening. I will talk to you next week. Peace out.
Thanks for listening to the Next Level Facebook Ads Podcast. Please remember to subscribe and share this with all your friends. For show notes, more tips, and to learn more about Phil, please visit PhilGrahamDigital.com/podcast.